great to be here tonight with Tom Hazel and to get this time. It's an honor, and he's doing amazing things. Currently, as the CEO of
CTO. I just brought in a CEO this summer prior.
Okay. Tell us a little bit about the search company and what you're doing, and then I'll get into some other questions.
Sure. So I'm the founder, CTO, I like to say chief nerd here at ChaosSearch. And what we've done is we've created a new technology, or I created a new technology that enables a new architecture to transform cloud storage, which now is where all this data is going. Shoot, Amazon used to be thought of as a book company. Their first cloud service was cloud storage, Amazon S3. And what we do is we transform customers' cloud storage into an analytical big data database that supports a variety of use cases: search, relational, machine learning, to go after log analytics, security, ops, business intelligence, maybe data science as well, but do it at a scale, whether it's terabytes to petabytes, billions to trillions events, rows, etc. So if you know me, I like to solve wonderfully hard technical problems, look at a market opportunity and go after it. And so ChaosSearch is, I would say, a life journey, but it's been 8 years ago I invented the technology, and 5 years ago I started the company.
So this is in essence, in some ways, a masterpiece of all the things you've done, right? And there may be other masterpieces after this, but that's kind of fun when it's a culmination of all these things coming together. That's great. And tell me, if you would, tell me about results that you're most proud of, whether it's in achievements or even outside of work or in things that are near and dear to your heart.
Well, I mean, I am passionate about solving these type of problems. So every one of my companies has probably had an award of creating something, building a product around it, ultimately selling it as a company. I would say my proudest moment actually is related to, I went to the University of New Hampshire, and a few years ago, I was awarded a Hall of Fame alumni entrepreneur, which I thought that was pretty cool. I think they do 5 a year, and they graduate 15,000 students every year, maybe in 20 in the masters. But so having one of a few, I think that was probably one of my more proud moments, because it was unique. I wasn't planning to be a Hall of Fame as my alma mater, but every time I create a new company, I want to push the envelope. And my new baby is ChaosSearch, where I had an idea. People thought I was crazy 5 years ago of transforming cloud storage into a new type of database. Today, the market said you could be more right. And so I'm very proud of guessing, right? Making a hunch, making a push into something that may happen, and then ultimately, lack of a better term, being right about it, and then getting a whole bunch of people that are like-minded to go on this journey to take those risks to hopefully provide value to our investors as well as the employees.
That's amazing too, because in what I hear, knowing some of these markets, having hired in them, is you're bringing things together that people are often approaching separately, and then you're taking it to a much deeper level. So that is exciting.
Well, the idea that cloud storage could be a central spot, a data lake of all these streams of data come together, that the customer can now just go to one place and analyze their data in all variety of ways, whether it's log analytics, BI, or machine learning. And the idea that the complexity to build out siloed databases at scale is wonderfully costly, time consuming, and terribly complex, that a lot of times these systems fall over when you just get to mid-size scale, let alone petabyte. And having one table have a trillion anything sounds like a lot, and we do that on a daily basis. So very exciting. And the good news is data is getting bigger. I like to say the big bang of big data is here to stay and growing.
That's amazing. Absolutely. And I've been watching it, and I get so excited about these things. My dad was a chemical engineer, so there's a little bit of a nerd around these things in me, and around processes and winning. And congrats on the UNH award. That is so amazing and powerful to be brought back to somewhere where you were, and made a contribution, and to celebrate that. And that's wonderful. Absolute congratulations. Great. And in doing this, there's obviously been some major successes here, and they don't honor someone that hasn't, put the integrity and the pieces in place that is so important as well. Could you tell us a little bit about principles, and what they've meant to you in building things and in evolving these cultures and companies?
Yeah, I mean, I always start with first principles, both from an idea and technology, as well as starting a company. I like to say you can be smart and nice. It's okay. And a career is a life journey, right? Where you're finding, like-minded people, everybody from people I've known in college until now, where if you find people that like to work on these type of projects, if they like to live in this, unknown unknowns, and it's easy to start a company when you've collected a whole group of amazing people that like to go on this journey with you. So really my job now is just to create a new technology, a new idea, and then call up the phone and say, okay, we're bringing the band back together. Let's go do it. But, there's a lot of first principles to start a company. And I'm sure you've heard it. How many times have someone said, oh, I have an idea, I think I'm going to start a company, and you never hear anything from it? It's really hard to create momentum, to drive the ball forward from just an idea to convincing others to join you on that idea, to convincing venture capitalists to give you money to go after this idea, and then grow it and grow it. And I would say I've learned a lot in how to do this. And there's some, not tricks, but there's some common themes that grit, hard work, treating people well, because obviously they're not going to come work for you again if you didn't treat them well. It's funny, I think VCs know that I run through brick walls when I see a problem. So having that perspective that whenever there's a problem, because there's always a problem when you're doing something on your own and solving it. And I think you get to a point where you become good at it. Every day is an unknown. You just get used to solving problems so consistently that now you feel like you can jump over mountains because you've taken the challenge, you've solved it. So I could write a book on the first day of a startup, let alone the 1000th day, right?
Excellent. Okay, good. And I feel like I hear in that too, Tom, that so much, obviously having grit, tenacity, and that they know in a challenge moment that you're going to go all the way and push, and you'll immediately jump onto a problem or begin the thought process rather than kind of let it sit out there and delay. So sense of urgency, I hear in that, but also the importance of relationships. It sounds like you've built connections and honored and respected people and celebrated both their gifts, right, and skills, such that you pick up the phone and they follow. And
it's really important. I want to jump in on that because having an idea by yourself means absolutely nothing, right? If you tell somebody about an idea and they don't want to follow you, it's never getting off the ground. A team of one is never going to happen. And I find with any startup idea or any idea that I have is really selling the vision almost a year before you even start, maybe 2 years. Venture capitalists always say, can you hire above your wage, right? Yes. I brought in a big name CEO this summer before this coming up one, and I've known him from my past, and I said, hey, I have an idea, I think I'm onto something, please join us in this journey. And that obviously helps this momentum. Finding people, finding great people, finding great, nice people that are talented. It's a people's game as much as an ideas game, as much as the grit. It's all this combination coming together that really creates the success. I mean, don't get me wrong, you need some luck, some opportunity. You need to guess right, but it's always a people game in the end. And I like to say for any future entrepreneur, start in college, meet those special people that are willing to go on this journey, foster it, and then over your career, you'll find more. And I like to say, find the groupies, the posse, whatever you want to call it, because you're not starting a company by yourself. And VCs like the idea that you can hire fast, and that's something I've learned over the years.
Absolutely fantastic. And I was going to say too, as far as in building relationships, and someone's looking to build relationships both in school and after, and make them sustain, could you bring us into your strategy and how you build connection and intimacy with people?
No, that's great. I mean, it's really finding out what they are all about, right? What drives them? Is there alignment that you can enable? Everyone has something unique. It's almost like I like to find accidental entrepreneurs or accidental inventors or computer scientists, because a lot of times they may not know that they could do a journey like this. So you have to say, listen, have you thought about a career like this? And so they have the talent, they have the team mentality, but I would say constantly finding those special people, and it. Like we were talking earlier about who connected us. I saw him from afar, room. I'm going, there's something about this person. I got to get to know this person, and you see it. I mean, be honest, the special people, just they glow, and but sometimes they don't know that they could go on a journey like this. And so, over the years, whether it's meeting people at work, meeting people at events, having coffee all the time, having a drink after work, fostering why they are here, and tell them your journey and what you're trying to do. And what I find is they're ready when you call them up, because they know where my mindset is and what I'm trying to do and their mindset. So you're looking for this connectivity, this synergy of people that at the right time you call the team together to join. But it's really everyone's got each other's back. Everyone's trying to do the right thing. Everyone can work together. Shoot, when I started Chaos, I hired all my leads that I have today. And we work well as a team. So when we get these new hires on new faces, they can see how well we work together, how well we trust each other, how well we communicate. And, it really goes a long way in any startup or any company. Their weaknesses is the people typically, right? Where there could be a misunderstanding or complexities related to that. And having a team that's just really like-minded is key. And then I always like to say, when I first start a company, are you a believer? Do you believe in this idea? Because there's going to be people that are going to say it's not a good idea or never will happen. Once you start doing successfully, and the VCs start giving you money, then they come out of the woodworks. Oh, I love the idea. It was always a great idea. I'm like, I don't know about that.
Yeah. They come out, oh, this is looking good all the way, Tom. And you're like, yes. Yeah. And so that's very important too, because people that see and believe the idea, but they also have the ability to see it for themselves. They can remove doubt, be in that open to possibility mindset, which is so key. And you mentioned too how you integrate together. I've noticed in a lot of cultures, as much as I'm building them, Tom, and I'm bringing people, and I'm vetting at a very deep level about personalities, who they are, what matters, I'm also making sure as I enter a culture, and if I change it around or I look at things, making sure there isn't poison or someone that's being mean to everybody all the time. We all have our moments, right, when we're direct, but I think it sounds like you build the relationships ahead of time, you sustain them through connection, you've already vetted it out to know who they are, so you're already at commonality when you make that phone call. So
well, and the thing is, you don't know somebody until you go to war, right? I will always hire somebody that I don't know, but when I don't know them, I'm looking for some ways of 6 degrees of separation where I can say, okay, will somebody vouch for it that I trust and know? Now, obviously you can't do that, particularly when you get to a certain size. But when you go to war and you can really see to your left and to your right, these people, and they can handle the pressure, and you see it. I mean, until you go through, you don't know, right? And I mean, when you're in a fire, and if you just can't handle the situation, or can you run and put out the fire, right? Can you call up for help and achieve any goal? But it is people, but at the same time, I like to say I'm also a cheerleader, where people don't necessarily can see that far, right? And they want somebody to lead them, to say, I'm going to run hard, I'm going to take you with me. And I think, looking for the captain of the team, and I think that's important that you have somebody that says, listen, I'm going to keep on driving, right? If you have somebody at the top that just like, I'm taking the weekends off, or, you guys go worry about it. It's really hard to sell working hard and being successful. You need your leaders, your team, your leads, all to drive hard to show the rest of the company how we do it here.
Yes. So important. They're living it, it sounds like, and people can see the example and move towards it. That's wonderful. Absolutely, because you set the context for the energy, and so many people don't understand that. We can't really ask people to do things that we're not demonstrating, and we set the pace, but also the ability to stretch, I think, and have that growth mindset and with the grit.
Well, and that's my selling point is when I hire somebody that's, on the younger side is, do you want to change your career? Do you want to change your viewpoint? Do you want to learn the ways of the force, I like to say, is because what I'm about to teach you, it's going to take years to learn. You're not going to learn this, by, sitting back. And for the right person who wants to really, take their degree or take their passion and grit and really elevate themselves, because we all know this, when we push ourselves, we grow. And there's a lot of joy in that growth. And that's what I sell when people join me in the company is, I like to say, I want you for 5 years, right? Get on board and we're going to teach you a whole bunch of business, technology, team building, leadership, because at a big company, it's really hard to do those type of things. At a startup, you're forced to, or you fail.
It's so true. And one of the things Richard often says too is it's great to reach the goal, and it's always can be fun and rewarding, but even more fulfilling is who we become in the process of getting those great goals. And yes, so you teach them the inner reward of that process, plus getting all the things that they wouldn't get in a tier one because it's very siloed and removed in many ways.
Well, I like to say, I'm for the journey. The end result is actually the saddest part. Right? When you achieved your goal, well, now what do you do, right? Achieving goals, don't get me wrong, I'm goal-oriented and I run towards goals, but if you keep on doing this, you'll achieve your goals. The not the saddest, but the worst part of achieving your goal is now you don't have a goal. Why is Tom Brady so driven all the time? Is because he needs the next goal. He needs a reason why he's getting up in the morning. He wants to challenge himself. And, it's funny, success is good, and I want success, but completing goals is, I better line up the next goal right after it, or, I don't know what I'm going to do.
Yes. Okay. Excellent. It's such a great point there in the way you described that. And that leads me to, in meeting the goals and being in the process, and you mentioned, hey, doing what you want employees to see so that they'll do it, and follow. Tell me about practices that have led you to excellence. And some people say, hey, I get up this time every day, I have this routine, or I spend these 2 times a day checking details no matter what the chaos is bringing. What are some of the practices that?
Well, I do believe practice makes perfect. And whatever you're not as good at, make that your strength. I know for me in my career, whatever I had to work on, I worked on so much that it actually became an asset of strength. So, this term, what do you do about, failures? There is no failure. There is no failure. When someone says, I can't do this, I want to whack them on the head, or I failed at something, please, I'm not going to let you use that vocabulary, because it was a learning point to achieve, your ability to overcome. And once you realize that, sure, you could say failure is a step into success, but think about it, there's so many little things that you could argue are failures, but really it's just a process to success. And so I don't use the word failure, but so the practice to get better. Now, to a point where you get so much practice that now you don't have to practice anymore, right? You get to a point where, okay, I'm going to get up on stage and I'm going to do a presentation. Well, at some point in time, you've done it so many times, you're like, no, I can wing this, or an analyst call, or I'm trying to think of what people would have to do. But, from working on hard technology and working on solving problems, I've done so many infinitely hard problems so often that it just almost comes second nature, like, how to solve problems, how to put something forward to be successful. But it's practice and the mindset to know that you can do it, you will do it. And analogy is, let's say you get a C on a test, right? Well, work harder to get a B. Maybe you take the test again and you get another C. Well, work even harder till you get the B, and then until you get the A. And if you keep on doing that long enough, you always get A's, because you've consumed so much information, so much knowledge, so much talent, so that your next class, you're not going to get that C anymore. You're going to get that A, because you have maintained a level of excellence, to your point, across all your disciplines. If you maintain that for a career, you feel like you're a superstar, because you feel like you could do anything.
That is so important. And I think people sometimes run away from their weaknesses or their growth areas. And it sounds like, in essence, what you're saying too is you chase at them with tenacity and make perhaps a schedule and a plan and a commitment about how you're going to improve. Even if you fail again, or even if you get the C+, then the B-, you keep moving towards it with the practice until you get to mastery. Is that safe to say?
And you do that for others, right? It's funny. I've done some experiments where, I won't say who or what, but if you tell somebody, let's say they're struggling with somebody, but if you tell somebody that they're really good at it, right? And you're like, you do really well at this. And then their confidence to do well. And you can even tell, let's say that they're now crushing whatever they're doing, right? And they maybe weren't so good. But if you can actually tell them now, 15 years later, saying, you weren't that good at it, but with your confidence, what got you to where you are. And they're always willing to accept it, because they go, interesting. It's always a mindset, and you see this, people who say no or can't do it or impossible, they're never going to be entrepreneurs. They're never going to start anything. Is this, it's always possible, has to be your mindset. If you have somebody in your company that says no, or you can't do it now, maybe it's with time is a question where maybe you shouldn't do it now, or maybe it's not possible now. But to shut down innovation, to shut down ideas, if you're doing your own company, you got to get those people out of the company ASAP.
Yes, that is so important too. And one of my favorite speakers, who's since passed, Wayne Dyer, used to talk about our doubts are traitors, And And in visualization, what I found, and in manifesting, in order to succeed, there's times where things come in that are doubted, but I can't have any doubt. It's an absoluteness that I'm going to do this. And I think from a process standpoint too, seeing the greatness in people before they see it, almost loving them into that greatness.
Well, that's how you get to have a team, is because, if everyone was this confident, secure, knew all the answers people, well then, no one, life would be, I don't know what it would be like, but what I found in my journey is finding uncommon people with uncommon talents, identifying that and leveraging it, and then investing so hard on it that all of a sudden, 5 years, 10 years, they become superstars that hopefully they'll continue on the journey with you. And listen, mentoring, investing in people is the only way to get, at least when you do hard tech like I do. Maybe there's an idea that only requires a few people and maybe it's okay, but when you need to build teams of really talented people, you have to invest. You have to invest hard.
You really do. And there's so much reward in that too. And I'm so happy to hear you say that, because the fabric, often people have it within them. And I've had some people that didn't see the gifts within them. And I've been sitting in my seat saying, oh no, I'm in a no doubt zone about the fact that they have it. But in inspiring to them, they've delivered. So, okay, great. And I was going to ask, people see success. They see you here running this company, and they hear about the awesome rewards at UNH. And many can say, well, he's much smarter than me. He's got these gifts. Often people that are trying something may be at a challenging point in their life. They may be failing or have failed. Is there a time you could share about where you maybe failed and really struggled and had to dig deep? And what did you tell yourself, and how did you dig out of that to renew?
Well, again, maybe it's just a life mindset. We all grew up with challenges. Everyone has challenges. And I don't know, maybe I was just born that way. Maybe I was forced that way, where whenever, this goes back to the Tom Brady effect, where he wasn't chosen as the #1 quarterback. He always believed. I mean, you just don't, the 199th pick, 6th round, and just become, this superstar. He did believe that he was exceptional. There's a story where he walked up to Bob Kraft, the Patriots owner, and said, I'm Tom Brady. And Bob Kraft says, yeah, I know who you are. And Tom Brady goes, and I'm the best thing that you've ever done for this organization. I mean, so I guess my point is, I really honestly never thought that I couldn't succeed or I wouldn't succeed. And it wasn't because of my parents, or I think it's just you're born with, optimism. And I do believe optimism can be taught, because I see that pessimism can be taught as well. And so, it's one of those things where you're never out of an opportunity. You're never down for the count. And I've hired people that you could say they're Debbie Downers, or they don't believe. And shoot, maybe there's only a few people in the company that can bring them home. But I got to be honest, any failure I've ever had it's like, well, got to take it up a notch. You got to take it up. I mean, you know what I'm saying? So it's if anything, it's made me stronger. I mean, again, I use Tom Brady as a great example because everyone doubted him. They still doubt him, right? And that prove that you are capable and get better at it is a joy. And I have talked to people who struggle, right? And they go, oh, like the pandemic. Is the world going to fall apart? And I always said the world is not going to fall apart. We will get over this. Solutions will be had, vaccines will be built. Now things will have problems, but you just got to say that I'm going to keep on pushing through it until I get on the other side. And, I guess maybe I can never do it. There are no bad days. There are tough days, right? Where you're like, oh, I didn't see that coming. And you're like, okay, let's get back on the horse. But you have to get back on the horse.
Yes. So important. I love what you're saying. We align so much in philosophies, because some people say, I don't know how that can be done. And I often say, I don't know how you don't see that it can be done, and I'm not judging them. I'm just saying, wait, there is no other conversation in me, and so, okay, good. And
I'll add one more thought is like, there is a million permutations that you can go down to make a choice.
Yes.
Listen to them. When there's some things happening, you're looking for the easiest string to pull to move the ball forward. And so are you listening to the opportunity? Are you thinking through the permutations of what to do next? If you're, lack of a better term, lazy, and you're waiting for it to come to you, it's never going to come to you. Sure, you could say there's luck, and sometimes it does come. But I would say there is no thing as luck, because you're putting yourself in situations where that thread is just really easy to pull on to get to the next step, right? If you sit at your home and don't do anything, success is not knocking on a door. Now, I know in the movies it sometimes does, but go out there, push the envelope. If you lost your job, study something, go back to school. There's so many things. Train up on a new topic. There's so many things that you can do to create a next opportunity to pull a thread.
Yes, and what I hear too, really surrounding and within what you're saying, Tom, is believe. Also believe clearly. Don't say, oh, we all have a bad moment, right? But then getting past it and saying, I believe I can do this, and I'm going to create clarity of thought. And we even look at epigenetics and different pieces, neuroplasticity, where we're finding now we can change the mind.
Don't get me started about neuroplasticity. I fundamentally believe in it. I fundamentally believe in it, and it's you learn techniques. I mean, how do I create clever ideas? How do I think differently? How do I think divergently? I've learned through a career how to do this, how to let your random neurons hopefully create some type of obscure thought to go, that's something to pull on. And it's funny, one technique for all the listeners out there